Good morning. So glad to be back, and thank you for your patience. We've got some breaking news this morning. That is that the ethics report is going to come out today about Matt Gaetz. Now, CBS News apparently has seen a final copy, and they are breaking the news that the ethics report on Matt Gaetz says that his drug use and sex with a minor violated state laws. That is the lead for today. Again, CBS News has seen a leaked copy of the House Ethics Committee report, and it does reveal that Matt Gaetz, his drug use and sex with a minor violated state laws. To be clear, we do call that statutory rape. And we will soon, today, see the full report. So tomorrow morning, I promise to go over it with you and also identify the federal laws that were violated, because if we only had an attorney general instead of the man in a suit named Merrick Garland, the charges against Matt Gaetz would not have been dropped. And I will go through that with you tomorrow. But right now, I want to share with you my screen to tell you what CBS has shared with the public. Again, this is the breaking news on the House Ethics Report about Matt Gaetz, that very report that he was trying to crush, trying to hide by resigning from Congress. That elaborate ploy where first Donald Trump announced that Matt Gaetz was going to be his attorney general, and there was so much pushback. I mean, Donald Trump went out on a limb for him that even that even didn't work. Because remember, he says Matt Gaetz is going to be my nominee for attorney general. That same day, Matt Gaetz miraculously steps down from Congress and thinks the report is never going to see the light of day. The Ethics Committee continued to work on it. And again, this is the House Ethics Committee. They are releasing the report today. I thought it might have come out on Friday, but remember, they stayed extra time to get that continuing resolution passed. So the budget, we have a budget at least through March. So let me share with you my screen as to what CBS News is saying here. And what I'm going to try to do, and I don't know if it's possible. Here we go. Let me just blow this up a little bit. What I'm going to try to do is see if I can actually play it. And I'm going to rely on you. I see you, Jason Smith. You're going to tell me whether you can hear the sound. And if not, I'm just going to read the story to you. So let's go.
Multiple state laws while in office. The report lists payments totaling more than $90,000 to 12 different women between 2017 to 2020 and alleges the money was likely connected to sexual activity and drugs, including cocaine and ecstasy. The committee also obtained testimony that alleges Gaetz had sex twice with a 17-year-old girl. The victim told the committee she recalled receiving $400 in cash from Gaetz, which she understood to be payment for sex. Gaetz is also accused of creating a fake email from his Capitol Hill office for the purpose of purchasing marijuana and referred to drugs as party favors, rolls, and vitamins. The report did not uncover sufficient evidence of violations of federal sex trafficking laws, and Gaetz has denied any improper conduct, writing last week that his behavior in his 30s may have been embarrassing, though not criminal. The former congressman refused to sit for sworn testimony, only submitting written answers to some of the committee's questions. The committee also alleged he knowingly and willfully sought to impede and obstruct the investigation. The House Ethics Committee had initially voted to keep the report under wraps after Gaetz resigned from Congress in November and withdrew as Trump's picks to be attorney general, but they reversed that decision in a vote earlier this month. Adriana?
Scott, thank you so much for that breaking news. And for you guys at home to read more on the House Ethics Report on Matt Gaetz, head to cbsnews.com.
Okay, so sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay, so thanks for listening to that. That was an experiment. And here's the deal. According to what we just heard from CBS News, that the House Ethics Committee found enough evidence of violation of state criminal law in connection with his drug use and sex with a minor. Now, according to CBS News, the report concluded that there was not enough evidence to bring federal charges for sex trafficking. I would like to read the report myself and see why they came to that conclusion, and also look at the facts of the report to see whether there might have been other federal crimes. So I will keep my mind open based on what this report says. Now, moving on from that breaking news to our lead story of the day. Does Donald Trump have two daddies? I know that that either sounds very woke, perhaps, or very kinky. You take it how you will. But what I'm referring to is this. Is it safe even to leave Donald Trump home alone in the White House? Apparently not. Apparently not. He has now two handlers in Elon Musk and Vladimir Putin. And the thing is, I understand that there has been, and I have participated in this, a characterization of Elon Musk as a shadow president or as President Musk. And I think it's better to call Elon his daddy because Donald indeed has two daddies. But let's back up. Let's back up for a moment and talk about this. There has been, for me, I was just kind of picking up the lingo. No one told me to call Elon Musk President Musk or the shadow president, but it was kind of fun. And he was acting like he owned Donald, hanging out in Mar-a-Lago, dictating to him things like who his nominees should be, doing things like having his mom sit in on the meetings where he was running this fake department, this Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, named after his Doge coin concept, or after the Doge coin concept. You know, he is very much hands-on into the Trump planning, him and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, he was not leaving Donald's side, and we were getting reporting that in Mar-a-Lago, Donald wanted to get rid of Elon. Well, Donald's starting to get nervous, and yesterday being Sunday, Donald had attended his first rally since the election. And this was in a friendly audience, Turning Point USA event. And here is a clip of Donald expressing his nervousness about Elon's power and trying to deflect it. But I want you to listen to this and you'll see what a tell it is. Okay, let's go.
Over 2,000 units, it's a lot. And they flooded it with Starlink, and it was so good. It saved a lot of lives, so we want to thank him. But no, he's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe. You know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country.
Ha! He has to tell himself that. The only reason why Elon Musk can't be president in Donald's mind, the only reason why Donald is safe, that Elon Musk won't try to usurp his power, is because he was not born in the US, so he is not qualified under the US Constitution to be president. That's so funny because Elon Musk could, in a heartbeat, ruin Donald Trump, right? He is the richest man in the world. He has over $500 billion in assets, a lot of that on paper, but not sufficiently in Tesla stock, right? But he is the richest man in the world. And he is threatened to fund opponents, people who opposed Donald Trump's recent budget plan that didn't pass, and they had to do a different one. We'll talk about that in a moment. Elon Musk, my friends, is not the president, but he is one of Donald Trump's daddies. And I'm going to add right now, I'm going to show you a few more clips. You may not have been paying attention to this, but it turns out the Tory party in Britain, the Tory party is claiming that Elon Musk is going to help fund them so that they can take over the government there and have their prime minister in office. That is what apparently is happening over there. Elon Musk, my friends, is no longer just a problem of the United States of America. He is now a global problem. And you know how global problems, and this is a little detour, we're still on Donald has two daddies, but you're going to hear this first. My mind is working now. I got my coffee. Do you know how global problems are resolved? Sometimes it's, they call them with treaties. So there are tax treaties or all kinds of treaties among nations where laws are conflicting and they can kind of get along and make it work. I think we need an international treaty on Elon Musk. Wouldn't that be great to stop his influence over the globe? I think he is a danger to us. And as AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, guys, it's not creeping oligarchy. We're not about to have an oligarchy. We have one right now. And don't freak out. It's a fact. The United States of America is an oligarchy now, at least at the federal level. That's a fact. Doesn't mean that you wake up tomorrow morning and the faucets have no water and you don't have Social Security. It doesn't mean that. What it means is recognize how the power system works, right? It was creeping in that direction before, even before Citizens United, where the Supreme Court threw that decision, and then the next decision at the DC Circuit, Speech Now, resulted in unlimited so-called independent spending in elections, right? That made things accelerate. But we've had a dark money problem. We've had, excessive corporate influence in politics and setting things out of balance for decades. And we have just landed here. And I do think if you want to know where it started, that's for another show. So back to oligarchy. It's here, but oligarchy is often hand in hand with, criminal, I would call it white collar crime and corruption with criminal elements. And so we have the marriage, literally the marriage of Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk, right? These men are now in an alliance, right? And they are now Donald Trump's two daddies. That is what is going on now. Now, let me break this down. We've already talked about Elon Musk, Donald being afraid he is a president. Let me explain to you. Let's pivot for a second to Putin, and then I'll return to Musk. So let's start with the premise that Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk are Donald Trump's two daddies. So let's talk about what yesterday Donald Trump had to say about Vladimir Putin. It's really interesting. Let's play it. This is one of the more recent things. And again, it's from yesterday. So let's do it.
Including foreign policy, these crazy wars that we're in. One of the things I want to do, and quickly, and President Putin said that he wants to meet with me as soon as possible. So we have to wait for this, but we have to end that war. That war is a horrible. The soldiers, the number of soldiers being killed, it's a flat plane, and the bullets are going, and there's powerful bullets, powerful guns, and the only thing that's going to stop them is a human body. They go dead flat land. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Millions of soldiers have died now. Millions. We're seeing numbers that are just crazy. Got to stop it. It's ridiculous. Would have never happened if I was president. That war would have never happened.
Where do I begin? First of all, President Putin wants to speak with me. Let's just say that you could refer to him as the president of Russia. When you refer to him as President Putin, it's deferential, number one. Number two, have you noticed that the only people who have died in his scenario are soldiers? No civilians? Ending the war without talking about who started it? Who the victims are? What Putin's expansion plans were? None of it, right? And, I can't go through with you thank you, Ada. I can't go through with you every single way in which Donald Trump has expressed extreme deference and capture by Putin. So instead of doing all of that, let me play for you something that John McCain had to say about the late John McCain, senator from Arizona, had to say about both Ron Paul and Donald Trump. Here we go.
No argument to be made. He has no justification for his objection to having a small nation be part of NATO that is under assault from the Russians. So I repeat again, the senator from Kentucky is now working for Vladimir Putin.
Okay. And this was in the context, by the way, of a note being passed from apparently some communication being passed from Ron Paul to Putin, right? They're talking about here, I believe, Ukraine. There's so much more about Donald Trump and Putin that I don't even need to add to this. So if we say, I mean, of course, his interference in the 2016 election, well documented in the Mueller report, even if there wasn't enough evidence of an agreement, of a conspiracy, we know what happened there, right? I don't need to repeat that for you, but I'd be happy to refer you to both volumes of the Mueller report on that, or to Robert Mueller's testimony before Congress about the fact that Russia, when his testimony in the summer of 2019, the end of July, when Robert Mueller testified before Congress and said, the problem is that even as I sit here, Russia is still interfering in our elections. And that was actually so factual because that next day was when Donald Trump got on the phone with Vladimir Zelensky and said, do us a favor, right? That was when Zelensky really needed to defend himself against Russia. 2019, and remember, it's early 2022 when Russia invaded. This has been an ongoing effort. Vladimir Putin has his eye on the prize. We are a bunch of fucking idiots in America. We are like dogs chasing squirrels. Putin knows he has wanted to take back all of Ukraine. That has been his focus, right? And that was his focus during the Obama administration. That is why Obama imposed sanctions on Russia. Remember Crimea? Remember the Ukrainians rising up against Russian authoritarianism, etc. This has happened. This has been going on for, more than a decade at this point. And so when we say that Putin is that Trump is either Putin's puppet or Putin is his daddy, what we're saying here is as follows. Donald Trump has two daddies. One is foreign and one is domestic. Kind of like in England, they have the foreign secretary and they have the home secretary. Here we do it a little bit differently. Our foreign person is our secretary of state. And then we don't really have the same thing as a domestic, guide. But think of it this way. Daddy one is Putin. He's the foreign daddy. He's when you're away. He looks at the globe. He wants Donald Trump and the US not to be part of NATO, right? That helps him. He wants to make himself more of a global power. He wants to crush the idea of representative democracy. He's for authoritarianism. That is Putin. He is Donald Trump's foreign secretary. And then we have Elon Musk. He's the home secretary. He's in charge of domestic policy. And of course, there's sometimes some overlap. So let's show you how it is that Elon Musk is the domestic daddy. It's happening everywhere. Let's look at some praise of Elon Musk here by a senator, a U.S. senator, Republican, who was actually praising Elon Musk for using Twitter to let him know what was in the funding bill, right? He doesn't have a staff to read it. They act like 1,000 pages is long for a bill. If you have 4 or 5 staffers, it's pretty easy. You divide it up. And by the way, they act like it dropped into the Senate after they hadn't seen it a few days in the House. If you are admitting that you're too fucking stupid to hire smart enough people to read things quickly, that's on you. And I think you see Dana Bash getting at that. Let's listen to this.
Elon Musk bought Twitter because that's the only way we would even know what's in this bill. Otherwise, the conspiracy between the government and Twitter would have continued, and this would have all been covered up. But the fact is that Elon Musk exposing this meant that every one of our offices was inundated with calls from our constituents. The American public wanted to see this change. Donald Trump was speaking on behalf of the American public. Again, he's just the president-elect. The current president is AWOL, but Donald Trump stepped up and said, look, this is what needs to happen. And I think all of my constituents were there, or the calls at least that I got in my office. Elon Musk's transparency helped make that happen.
Well, I think as a senator voting, I presume that you do your best to read the bills that you're voting on. I understand it was quite large at the beginning, but to say that it was only Elon Musk that made people aware of what was in it, that can't be true.
No, I'm not saying it was only Elon Musk.
That is astonishing. Do you know Bill's language? Like, it's astonishing to me that he's suggesting two things: that he wouldn't have given a fuck about it if his constituents hadn't called, that they wouldn't have called if Elon Musk hadn't put that up on Twitter, and that he's incapable of digesting legislation. It is astonishing. So that is astonishing on its own. And now we even have more. And that was Bill Haggerty. Okay, that was a senator. Now we've got someone in the House, Representative Gonzalez. And here is his view. You know, I've said that Donald Trump doesn't want Elon Musk to be called shadow president or President Musk. So he's one of Donald's daddies. This is confirmed here. You'll see. Let's play it.
Partisan deals negotiated and led by the Speaker of the House. What role exactly is he playing here?
It's kind of interesting. We have a president, we have a vice president, we have a speaker. It feels like as if Elon Musk is our prime minister. And I spoke with Elon a couple of times this week. I think many of us
unelected.
Well, unelected, but I mean, he has a voice, and I think large part of that voice is a reflection of the voice of the people. Once again, a 1,500-page bill, how does that pass the smell test? It's absolutely wrong. It's what's wrong with this place. So we have to get back to regular order. The other part of it too is while House Republicans were fighting over this spending bill, guess what Senate Democrats were doing? They were ensuring that President Biden got his 235th liberal judge over the finish line.
Yes! Go Biden. It's amazing. So Joe Biden has appointed more federal judges than Donald Trump did in his first term, which is great. Secondly, oh my God, this whole thing about 1,500 pages. Have you seen how bills are laid out? They look like they're really long, but they're like, first of all, the margins are really tight, like very wide margins, and like hugely like triple space. So, it is not what you think it is. And again, these people complaining about not being able to do their homework. So here, calling him a prime minister. Now, more on Elon Musk, showing you that he is Donald's daddy, is that when people are questioned, I think this is Mark Wayne Mullen, the representative, he's questioned here on CNN about conflicts of interest. Like, is it really okay that not just that Elon Musk spent so much money to buy our presidency? No, not that, but that he has conflicts of interest that when the policy he is affecting will directly line his pockets and help his businesses. Let's hear why that apparently isn't a problem. And we'll talk on the other side. Utter hypocrisy.
Well, Caitlin, you saw Elon and President Trump. Well, Caitlin, you saw Elon and President Trump working together as a team. I promise you they were visiting the whole time. Elon was taking one task that President Trump wanted, and President Trump was taking the other task.
Sorry. That was, I didn't show you the right clip. That was showing you that Elon was domestic daddy. That Donald Trump took one task and Elon took the other task. What was Donald's task? Staying at home at Mar-a-Lago and reading the tweets that Elon put out, right? I think so. Let's look at the conflict of interest. This is on a different news channel. He was making the rounds. Okay, here we go.
Number of lawmakers, including our next guest, Senator Ben Cardin, your colleague, have expressed concerns about connections, about businesses where he has benefited, on a foreign level, but also here at home, the U.S. contracts, the government contracts that he has. What do you say about that potential conflict of interest or appearance of it?
Yeah, it's laughable because these same Democrats turned a blind eye to the 27 shell companies that the Biden family had, with Brisa, with companies in Europe, with companies all over China, who was buying ridiculous payments for access to the president when he was vice president through Hunter Biden, and now when he was president through Hunter Biden, and the tombs of millions and millions of dollars. Remember, that's why Hunter Biden was actually pardoned for a crime. These same Democrats turned a blind eye to an absent
Okay, let's back up. First of all, most of what he's saying about Hunter Biden and certainly Joe Biden isn't true. But let's say for a moment, just one moment, let's say that it was true. His indignation is such bullshit. Because if he actually condemned corruption of that sort, then he would care that Elon Musk was corrupt. He's not addressing that. He's not addressing the conflicts of interest. What he's saying is, I think government should be filled with conflicts of interest and unelected people controlling the presidency and the congressional legislation for their own interests. That's what he's saying. And he's saying that it should be this way. And he's saying Democrats are only complaining right now because they don't want Donald Trump and Elon Musk to get away with it. So that's pretty fucking hypocritical. But now let's address the fact that what he's saying isn't true. Hunter Biden was not pardoned because of what he's talking about. First of all, Hunter Biden, as you know, was indicted and convicted by I shouldn't say convicted. A jury found him guilty on those gun charges, and he pleaded guilty to some tax evasion or tax not paying his taxes charges. Some of that was he filed tax returns and didn't pay what he was owed. And some of it was later he exaggerated expenses and owed more than he said. That's the tax side, right? Related to payments from foreign governments. Now, the other thing on the gun charges was that he went to a gun shop. And I thought these guys liked the Second Amendment. He filled out a form, and one of the questions was whether about drug use or addiction, and he didn't admit that he was a drug user at the time that he was an illegal drug user at the time that he got the gun. So all the charges related to that in terms of the jury conviction. Nothing in it related to Burisma, which he didn't even know the name of. So at any rate, no matter what this guy is saying, it is irrelevant to the question of whether it's a problem that Elon Musk is corrupt. And let me add something to you. We should be against oligarchy, self-dealing, and corruption, regardless of whether it was attempted by Hunter Biden or attempted by Elon Musk. That is irrelevant. And I really wish these reporters had the ability to say, I feel like you're contradicting yourself, and do what I just did. But I guess that's too much for me to ask for. Okay, so that is where we are. We have two daddies. Putin is the foreign daddy, and Musk is the domestic daddy. And just keep an eye on them pulling the strings. Now, Donald Trump himself, though, is pretty bad on his own, and I should point that out to you because he's saying some really crazy shit. He has these delusions of grandeur and expansion. And I'm sure that you may have just seen this, or you may have heard, right? He's been talking about wanting to take over Canada, like poking at Justin Trudeau, and referring to Canada as a 51st state and him as a governor. Now he is also moving on to this idea that he thinks the U.S. should take back the Panama Canal. And this may seem somewhat random to you, but of course it's an important trade route that he would want to control. And secondly, he has a beef with Panama because I believe a few years ago they shut down his hotel because it was a site of something maybe illicit. So let's first play what he said about the Panama Canal. He's also tweeted about it since then. This is before then. This is yesterday.
Another example of the things we're doing and looking at. It's such a terrible thing is happening. The Panama Canal is considered a vital national asset for the United States of America due to its critical role of American economy, the whole world economy, and also national security. The Panama Canal. Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal?
Oh, yes, we fucking heard of it. Yeah.
Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else. A secure, he just said, take it back. That's a good idea. Where do you come from, sir? He doesn't come from Panama. Oh, yeah, good.
So he wants to take back the Panama Canal. You may think he's joking. That's how he floats everything. Very aggressive what the fuck, right? This is not, I thought this was supposed to be, I think that we heard the Republican Party, people wanted to elect Donald Trump because they wanted smaller government and fewer wars. Actually, if you want to know the truth, under Donald Trump, government got much bigger in terms of the budget, right? And here he is wanting to invade other countries. Now, don't just believe me. I just want to share this with you. You look at what Hakeem Jeffries had to say about this. The expansionist, fascist attitude of Republicans. They say they want freedom, but they actually want to control our bodies. They want to control what we read. It's all a facade. And in terms of small government, they don't want to drown the government in a bathtub, as Governor Norquist says. They want to expand it so they can take over Panama. Donald Trump also has been mentioning Greenland and Canada. He's nuts. Here we go.
In our nation's 248-year history, 25% of our nation's debt was accumulated during the 4 years of the former president. 25%. How dare you lecture America about fiscal responsibility, ever? And then President Biden comes to office, gets big things done for the American people on infrastructure, on the CHIPS and Science Act, standing up a clean energy economy, rescuing America from a once-in-a-century pandemic, gets all of these big things done, partnering with House Democrats and Senate Democrats, and in the process, in his first 2 years, reduces the deficit by $1.7 trillion. And so we see a...
Okay. You get the idea. Things are not what they seem, and thank God for Rep. Jeffries. Also, thank goodness that they're not going to be able to function. They have an even slimmer majority in the House, and what they have demonstrated is the only reason why the government is still funded is because of the Democrats. And we will now add to this, which is the other reason why the government. So let me just back up. I know you probably were following what happened at the end of the week with the budget bill. So it turns out Mike Johnson had negotiated a bill, to the one they keep saying is 1,000 pages long, to keep the government funded. And it was ready to go when Elon Musk balked and wanted something different. And then he said, no way. And he had some other things he wanted to change in that bill, right, to benefit himself. And then Donald Trump, either not wanting to be one-upped by Elon Musk or also realizing that he isn't, there's something that would have helped his rich friends. Donald Trump then said at the end of last week, wait a second, I want this budget bill to increase the debt ceiling, right? Just what we're kind of talking about, what we were talking about with Hakeem Jeffries. Donald wanted the debt ceiling increased so that the first thing he could do when he took office was pass the tax cuts. That's what they want. They want to extend the existing tax cuts that he put in place at the end of 2017, and they want to expand them for billionaires, 100 millionaires, and corporations. And to do that, they need to raise the debt ceiling. And they wanted it done on Biden's watch, right? Because they don't want the data to say how much he has expanded the debt. Okay, so that's what he wanted done. And that blew everything up. And the Republicans balked. The Democrats balked, and you couldn't get a bill done. So at the end of the day, they came back, they figured it out. They've gotten the budget funded through March. All but one Democrat in the House supported this new budget, which is basically what they had before, but just fewer pages. And they needed 38 Republicans who supported, against Donald Trump's wishes and against Elon Musk's wishes, this bill. So 38 brave Republicans were willing to do this. I'm referring now to Republicans in the Senate. we had, so let me just be clear. It passed the House, but then you need it in the Senate. And in the Senate, all but one Democrat supported it. And you had 38 Republicans who also did. Now, I think this is, I may be getting, I'm so sorry. I feel like I might be getting this a little bit off. Hold on. 38 Republicans. I was pretty sure, I'm pretty sure I'm talking about the Senate. So just let me confirm this before I mess this up. Yeah, so we have, okay, so we have 38 Republicans who were, okay, so we have this, yeah, okay, hold on one second. Let me just, okay, let me just read this. I think it was reading this to you that it was the House rejected. Okay, so then the bill ends up passing. There were 38 Republicans who departed from the president's agenda. And I'm sorry, I was right in the first place. It was 38 Republicans in the House. We didn't need Republicans in the Senate because the Democrats have a majority. So rewind that. Yes, it was 38 Republicans in the House who went ahead and supported this legislation. And I'm going to drop into the chat for you guys who are in the live chat, or if you're watching later, a link so you can see if it's your rep. So if your rep in your district, yes, it was the House. It was the House, guys. If your rep in your district, your congressional district, supported this, whether they were a Republican or a Democrat, please thank them. Again, so here's the link in the chat. Now, guys, so I want to share with you, this brings us to our person of the day. And our person of the day is, I've got actually two people of the day. I have first is a senator. His name is, this is Senator-elect, I'm sorry, not a senator, Senator-elect Curtis from Utah. And he's letting us know where he's going to stand. And that is going to be to stand up against Donald Trump's authoritarianism and expansion of executive power. So let's look at him. Again, this is my person of the day. It is Senator-elect Curtis, Senator-elect Curtis from Utah. Welcome to the Resistance, Senator. Let's play it.
But I've also seen you've taken heat, especially online, social media, from supporters of the president say, what's wrong with you? Just get in line already.
Listen.
Why are you asking questions? Why are you saying you have concerns?
Anybody who wants to give me heat for doing my job, bring it on. This is my job. It's my constitutional responsibility. These same people are the same people who would have said earlier, you need to take power back from the executive branch. You need to do your job. I have heard that from these very same people, and that's what I'm doing.
And
okay. I think that's important. Now, I think there's always a debate on how much executive power there should be in terms of the presidency and the executive branch. And I know there are different views and the pendulum swings, but when we have someone in office like Donald Trump, who is being controlled by his two daddies, Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk, this is not the time to expand executive power. Now, my second person of the day is Rep. DeLauro from the House, who had this to say, and let me give you the timing. She made these comments on the House floor during the interim between the time when Elon Musk blew up the negotiations, but this was before we came to the continuing resolution. So she has a lot to say. And again, this is Rep. DeLauro. Love her. She is our other hero of the day, person of the day.
But 2 days ago, a multi-billionaire with apparently no working knowledge of our government or of appropriations, someone who is a self-appointed president of the United States, Elon Musk, issued a marching order for House Republicans to go against their own elected leadership. Shut down the government. Shut down the government. House Republicans are responsible for any harm and uncertainty brought upon the American people. And should some get their wish for a month-long government shutdown. They will be responsible for cleaning up their mess come Inauguration Day.
Love her. Absolutely love her. Rosa
Cleaning up their
DeLauro.
mess come Inauguration Day.
Great. So there we have Representative DeLauro from the Democratic Party, Senator Curtis, incoming senator from Utah. This gives me hope. The sense that American people will object to overreaching and that their representatives in Congress and in the Senate will resist is better than them doing what ABC News did, which is just lay down and take it. Now, one update on ABC News before we turn to Crazy Town. Recent reporting is that ABC News, when it decided to settle the lawsuit that Donald Trump brought against them, right? Donald Trump sued ABC News because of something George Stephanopoulos said, which I believe was truthful. And even if it was slightly untruthful, it wasn't made with malice. This was a statement calling Donald Trump a rapist. And remember that I said that, of course, Donald Trump was found liable for sexual abuse, which against E. Jean Carroll. He was found liable by a jury. I believe it was a jury of 9 because it was a civil case. And those jurors made that decision, even though they decided not to find him liable on the rape charge. Now, the judge later said, this is the federal judge in the case, that the sexual abuse charge was the equivalent of rape, that in everyday speech we would refer to that because it involved penetration. That is all I'm going to say about that. It's disturbing this early in the morning. So at the end of the day, if they had defended against this lawsuit, I think they would have won. I think it would have been thrown out. And even if it wasn't, I think that there would be no damages that Donald Trump would be able to prove that he suffered as a result of this. So all of that is to say, the story is coming out that ABC News internally allegedly knew that it was a good case and that they could win, perhaps, but they decided that it was not a good look for them, that it would be, in other words, bad for business if they were engaged with litigation with the sitting president. Bad for business, huh? Is that meaning like they won't get access? Bad for business? Is that meaning like the president would ream them out the way he did CNN? Does that mean advertisers would flee? Whatever it means, they did the equivalent of, paying him off. And so now I've decided that anyone who wants to bribe Donald Trump, he should just sue everybody and get them to settle. And that will be a legitimate way for him to get money for himself and silence his opponents. That's not advice to Donald Trump. It makes me sick, actually. And it's a shame that ABC News did that. And yes, they didn't just bend the knee, they opened their wallet. Follow the dirty money. Okay, so now, Crazy Town. Crazy Town comes to you from, I believe this was at the Turning Point, outside or in and around the Turning Point event. And this involves Milo Yiannopoulos. You probably haven't heard of him in a while. And Laura Loomer. In case you have been fortunate enough not to know who Milo is, let me refresh your memory that he was at one time a right-wing provocateur, so to speak, and he was, I don't know how to say it any better than this, kind of canceled. It's kind of complicated, and he's trying to have a comeback. And his comeback hasn't gone very well. So first I want to share with you, after Milo was really kind of this hated right-wing provocateur and was canceled, I think someone found some old tapes suggesting that he supported pedophilia. I don't know if that's true, but whatever happened, the dude was canceled. He was making a ton of money, and then he was nobody. And what he did to try to revive himself was this. Let me show you where he was recently before we get to the Crazy Town. Here we go, Milo.
And 3/4 inches tall. If you're thinking about how this is going to fit into your shrine or maybe even a bedside table. I know sometimes people like to wake up and say good morning to their favorite, people and saints and whatnot. It's available in bronze and pewter, and they're both $87.50. We're not yet set up for 2 easy payments, despite our.
Not yet. We're not quite there.
But we're hoping to.
Okay. So he did this overhaul. Maybe he found Jesus, or he just found a way to go on infomercials to sell statues of the Virgin Mary. That's where he was. And then yesterday, he gets into a fight with Laura Loomer. Now, remember, Laura Loomer was the one who was exceedingly close with Donald Trump until she wasn't, right? And suddenly she is no longer seen around him. She'd been with him side by side on the campaign trail, allegations of a very close relationship. Who knows about that? So let me get you to Crazy Town. And you know what we need for Crazy Town. Here we go. Okay. I mean, this is kind of like the let them fight situation. So here we go. Milo and Loomer.
Yeah, you were hiding behind a garbage can. Oh, yeah.
You know, the period where you could just say things and people would assume that you were not lying is over.
You're a liar, Milo. Everything that you wrote about me is a complete lie.
No,
everything that you said. You said I was banned from Mar-a-Lago. I was at Mar-a-Lago 2 weeks ago for dinner.
You should really.
I was at Mar-a-Lago 2 weeks ago.
Somebody like
I was
you.
at Mar-a-Lago for dinner 2 weeks ago, Milo. So what about this source that you have?
You know what you were told. You know what you were told.
What
You
was
know
I
you shouldn't have been.
told? What was I told?
You know you shouldn't have been.
I wasn't told anything.
The family doesn't want you there. The family doesn't want you anywhere near him.
That's not true, Milo. You are a liar, Milo. You're jealous because you have never been able to recover from being canceled. If you went to rehab and got control of your drug addiction, you would actually be able to, get your life.
Oh my gosh, sad. So what you heard there, if you could hear, Milo is telling, I know you probably don't care, but I should translate it. Milo is telling Laura Loomer that the family does not want her anywhere near Mar-a-Lago. She's saying what you've been saying about me is a lie. You're just jealous because you've never recovered from being canceled. And I was just there for dinner 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, this is the world we are living in. Okay, thanks for joining me today. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow at 8:30.